Okay, I want to answer and react to a question that was posed by a beginner on a songwriting forum that I follow, and I can tell that it's a beginner because of the nature of the question, as you'll hear. It's a quintessential struggling beginner's question, and it has answers. It has the question I'm posing has answers, but also importantly, and what I'm interested here about in addition to this, is it opens the door to a more important question and answer, which is maybe the question that's behind the question, or a question that they haven't hit upon yet, that they maybe need to be asking or asking themselves. So let's dive in. A little question about song structure. Does a song need to have a chorus? Does a chorus need to repeat, i.e., the chorus is always the same? Can I use 3 bridges instead? Okay, here are the direct surface level answers from yours truly. So one, technically no. You don't need to have a chorus because there are no rules, and there are successful songs that there are examples of successful songs that buck any trend you care to name. That said, as a beginner who's asking this kind of uncertain question, I might argue that a good strategy is to identify and stick to convention at the outset, in particular with structure, and more particularly, with including a chorus, which is arguably the hallmark element of modern songwriting itself. If you don't have a reason for not doing that, you might strongly consider doing it, not because it's the most right way, it's the correct way, it's the only way, but more because, like, if you're in this position where you're not sure how to proceed, like, helping yourself to a rich tradition of examples and wisdom that talk about the sort of the traditional song structure may help you just take the steps you need to get moving on your journey. That's why, like in my Songwriting 101 video, I talk about that, and I'll say things like, you can do whatever you want, but if you don't know what to do, here is the most common thing, and maybe this will help you get started. So number 2, so yeah, in the context of what I just said, like, if I nudge you to follow tradition, let's talk about conventional. Within convention, yes, by definition, within tradition and convention, when we speak of a chorus, we're talking about a refrain or a repeated idea. It's, as I often use the example of it's the "we all live in a yellow submarine" part of your song. You recognize it every time. It sort of encapsulates the theme. It's probably the title of your song, etc. So now the third part is the most interesting, and is the part that kind of opens the door. Can I use 3 bridges instead? So I don't want to tell you that you can't use 3 bridges, but what do you think that means? Like, what does that mean to you? So if I take that within the sort of the convention, within the tradition, it's almost meaningless, because the bridge has a sort of a specific role, specific meaning, and a song structure that goes, verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus. I had to line it up so that it goes the way that you read, not the way I read. See, I'm thinking, using the old noggin. Verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus. And what we're doing here is that a verse it's an idea where, you're, as I say in the Songwriting 101, and we'll lay this out, that, okay, your melody and your chords are the same from verse to verse, but the lyric changes, the lyric advances. In the town where I was born, And then, what is and our friends are all aboard, and as we live a life of ease. I think those are the three verses of Yellow Submarine. And so you have that part, and then you have the chorus, which I already sort of explained. Everything is the same. The music, the chords, the melody, and the lyric are the same each time it comes around. It's the recognizable part is the refrain. The bridge, or sometimes called a middle eight, is a moment of relief. It takes a new direction. We've done two verses to this point: verse, chorus, verse, chorus. Bridge, a new thing, a new relief that takes us musically to a new place. It's kind of give us something new and interesting. It's also an opportunity for the lyric to change, the lyric to shift, a new idea to be introduced, an idea that hopefully is kind of tipping us into a conclusion. Like we're kind of wrapping it up. And although listeners don't recognize these pieces of the structure, they don't know their names necessarily, and the one they're least likely to know the name of or to understand what it is the bridge. They know it in their bones. They know what's happening. Oh, we're coming home. It's coming. It's wrapping up. So to say that you want to use three bridges instead of choruses, I have to try to imagine what you're getting at. And so I would ask kind of as a follow-up, do you mean, okay, I've got my verse, let's call it idea A. I've got idea A and I've got idea B, and they each change and they're different from each other. I want to go A, B, A prime, B prime, A double prime, B double prime, like that, like a little rondo, but that's kind of back and forth. And or do you mean that I have a verse and it changes, and then I have three totally distinct musical ideas that I want to throw as a counterpoint against that? Here's my verse, and then I have interlude 1, here's my verse, interlude 2, here's my verse, interlude 3. All different. Maybe they're vocal, maybe they're not. Whatever. And so I'd say that, in all of these scenarios that I've come up with, or whatever, or another scenario I didn't come up with, they're unconventional. And people giving you feedback will no doubt point that out. But if that's what you think is cool, do it. Go for it. And that leads me to the more important point, which is that you're in charge. Like, have the courage to just try it. Have the confidence to just dive in. Don't ask what's right. Don't ask permission. Don't ask, can I do this? Because the answer is always, you can. Do you want to? So this may be an unpopular stance, but I really, I think that to really grow into our writer shoes, we need to rely much more on self-evaluation than on external feedback or opinion or guidance. Don't ask for feedback. As a young writer, don't ask for feedback. I think answer the question for yourself, or at least don't ask for feedback until you've answered the question for yourself. Whether that is, what direction should my song take, or having done it, is this working? Answer that yourself. Like, know really scrutinize and evaluate that yourself. Don't rely on feedback. It's tempting, but it's not like if I just follow the rules exactly, if someone tells me what the rules are and if I follow them exactly, I'll be doing it. That actually isn't how it works. You have to, it's an inner journey at every level. Like, no one can write your song for you. You have to do it. You have to make dozens of decisions, and you have to decide they're the right ones, and you have to say, that's the decision that led to this song being this song. And so you can't, anyway. I mean, I guess, what I'd say is, like, I've talked about this a little bit before, but I think that, like, from my own history, like, the best The best thing that I did as a young writer, as a teenager, was to like stubbornly insist on teaching myself and, trying to like, kind of invent my own way of doing things. And in doing so, I've found and cultivated certain things which are kind of uniquely part of my voice and my musical identity, even to this day. But I also observed and adopted conventions, such as in my case, common structures, that made inherent sense to me. That, so your journey is different from my journey, and you may feel like you want to find new structures, and that's interesting to you. Great, do it. You don't have to seek. I guess what I'm saying is like you don't have to seek feedback. You don't have to have feedback, but you must practice self-evaluation. Like you can't write songs if you don't self-evaluate. So get into it. Like do it now. Like make that be your focus. Evaluate your own work. Be confident in your decisions on your own in a vacuum, and tune out the outside world until you really want to and can take the criticism you receive and place it properly into context. And I've talked about that as well. Like if you seek too much feedback too early, people are going to pull you in 18 different directions. If you're aimless and goalless and you don't have a path in mind, you won't be able to contextualize what people are telling you. You won't be able to contextualize, and it'll be meaningless. So, like, ask yourself, answer your question for yourself, whatever your question is, but also, like, ask yourself other questions too, Answer these for yourself, is it interesting? These are the kind of things I might ask myself. You'll have your own specific version of some of these, but like, is it interesting? Is it beautiful? Is it bluesy? Is it funky? Is it catchy? Is it clever? Is it rhythmic? Does it groove? Does it make you want to move? Do you want to sing it? Is it cool? Do I want to skip this part? Do I want to hear it one more time? Is it right? Is it good? Is it what I want? Those last three are really the heart of the matter. And I'm torn a little because I feel for and I empathize with and I root for songwriters who are starting out, and I want to encourage people to do this and successfully figure out how to fill their toolbox and put their vision out into the world in a way that they're satisfied with. So I make these little videos off in the corner of my rarely visited layer on the internet to nudge people who are like 14-year-old me. But no one can nudge you if you have no momentum of your own. And nudging doesn't help you if you have no direction of your own. So, to get all philosophical about it, like the answers within are really the only ones that matter to your artistic journey. So look within and answer your questions for yourself first and foremost. All right, get on out there, answer those questions, write your song with 3 bridges. Just do it. Till next time.